So I would say, let me just kick off then with a short introduction. So thank you all again for joining. We're going to discuss ways of becoming more sustainable as an exhibitor or a participant in these in our event, Mobile World Congress. My name is Ivan Julitska. I run the environmental program for the GSMA for the Mobile World Congress, and we this year introduced this webinar, which we hopefully might repeat in the future, to give our exhibitors ideas of what to do in order to make their participation greener. There are no, the concepts are probably known, but it's a nice refresher, a nice reminder, and it should hopefully give you ideas to make you think when you make decisions of purchasing or when you work with your contractors, which areas you can influence to improve, let's say, your environmental performance and sustainability. We also have we also want to inform you about a few other things we're doing from our side, our initiatives that you can participate in as an exhibitor or contractor. That we'll cover that in the presentation, and we will be in contact with you so that you can let us know if you're interested in any of those initiatives. So with no further ado, I will now pass on the presentation to Iker, and then we start the presentation. So let me just do that. 1 second. Okay.
Good, excellent. Let me share the screen with you first. Now, yeah. Can you see it? Can you see the slides?
Yes, I can see your slides. I think we can see your slides, everyone.
Excellent. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Iker. I work at Factors, which is the environmental consultant assisting Ivan and his team in the preparation of the carbon footprint of the Mobile World Congress. We have been doing this for 5 years now, and it is great that you are with us this morning. As Ivan was saying, this morning we would like to discuss a few initiatives which can help us become more sustainable, which can help your stand be greener. So it's a 10-15 minute show. We have prepared a few slides which we're going to circulate after the meeting. So we also want that this is quite interactive. So if you have questions and answers, please let us know, and that way we can make this a little bit more livelier. So why are we doing this? For us, it is very important that we can control and reduce the carbon footprint of stands as much as possible. Exhibitors are the second source of emissions, of greenhouse gas emissions, when we organize the event. And last year, exhibitors were responsible for 9% of the overall carbon footprint. Of course, travel is much more significant, international travel from attendees to the event. But at the same time, the 9%, it is in absolute terms, it's a lot of emissions. It's 14,000 tons of CO2 released every year. We see, secondly, big potential to reduce that footprint. And thirdly, we think that, it's nice that we lead with the example, and we try to reduce our footprint as much as possible. So that is the rationale for for organizing this webinar and trying to reduce our footprint as much as possible. What are the initiatives we would like to share with you, and we would like you to join us and participate at? We have 3 initiatives, and then also a few, I will say a few more words on tips to use sustainable materials, low carbon advertising and giveaways, and use low carbon means of transport. But basically we have 3 sustainable initiatives which we'd like to share with you. The first one it's called Donation Room, and it's self-explanatory. Basically, the Mobile World Congress has been arranging the donation of items that are no longer used by exhibitors when they leave Barcelona. So for some years now, the organization is working with the municipalities of Barcelona and from Prat of Llobregat, and basically we are organizing that these items are donated to charities and local NGOs. So it's a very nice initiative, and we highly encourage you to participate in it. Very simple, no? Reuse the materials which are no longer required by you guys. The second initiative, it is called the MWC Green Working Group. This is a new initiative, and in this new initiative, what we are seeking is to offer you a hotline and a permanent support when you are organizing your stand, so, and your attendance to the event. What we want to do is that to support you with all sorts of questions or doubts which you may encounter when organizing your attendance at the event, of course from a sustainable perspective. So as I said, this is a new initiative. We encourage you to contact us at this email address which we are leaving with you, and we will be more than happy to support your efforts to become more sustainable. And then, the last initiative which we would like to present to you is called the Green Stand Initiative. And basically, this has to do with helping you understand what your carbon impact, your carbon footprint is when you attend the Mobile World Conference. So basically, what we are offering is that a full support when in the calculation of your carbon footprint. More precisely, we are offering to carry out as consultants 30 carbon footprint studies. So these studies will give you very specific information on what your footprint is, one, and secondly, how you can reduce it. So what we are, the idea here is that we send you a very simple questionnaire that one we can support you filling it, and then once you send that information, we can very precisely understand what your carbon footprint is and help you reduce it. So that is the Green Stand Initiative. A few words on sustainable stands. Of course, the most important part of the whole process is the design phase. Over the years, we have noticed that those stands which use low carbon intensity materials such as wood, reusable materials such as wall panels, have a lower carbon footprint. It is pretty obvious. And also at the same time, those exhibitors which bring the strictly necessary to the event and avoid using unnecessary amounts of furniture or IT equipment do have a smaller carbon footprint when measured not per square meter, tons of CO2 per square meter. So yeah, everything starts with a good design. Also, another obvious tip is to use local resources as much as possible when setting up and constructing the stand. Local staff can help set up the stand. You may use local elements and materials, and obviously you can encourage that local staff travel sustainably to the event to set up the stand. A last word on the green stand idea is the use of energy efficient equipment. It is pretty obvious, but yeah, we highly encourage the use of energy efficient appliances such as LED lighting and energy efficient appliances. So that were the three initiatives which we like to put forward and discuss with you and involve you. Now a few words on materials, for example. When using materials, always have in mind the 3 R's. Reduce, so use as little materials as possible, reuse, and recycle. Yeah, when we prepare the carbon footprint footprints of exhibitors, we find that there are huge difference between the materials some exhibitors use and the materials some other exhibitors use. So, for instance, we have found that the use of MDF is quite normal among exhibitors, but the use of that material creates unnecessary waste because MDF goes to landfill. So instead of that, there are sustainable materials that are being used increasingly by other exhibitors, such as wood and cardboard. So that would be an obvious recommendation from a material perspective. In the same vein, with bags, the use of biodegradable or paper bags is more sustainable than plastic bags, and that will also contribute to reducing your carbon footprint. So that would be a second obvious tip or recommendation from a sustainable perspective, and so forth. Obviously, it is possible to use IT. It is highly recommended to use IT technologies as much as possible. So it's really possible to reduce the use of paper and go digital as much as possible. For example, when designing advertising and giveaways, the use of QR codes contributes to reducing the use of paper and reducing our carbon footprint. On giveaways, also we have seen over the years that people go green and use giveaways made from sustainable resources such as wood. It is very easy to do that these days. On printing, just a reminder, it is possible to access the event just with your mobile. It is not necessary to print the registration confirmation code. We have seen that, and it is possible to enter the fare with your registration confirmation code on your mobile. And of course, the same goes for the international trip you are planning. And yeah, to finalize, last slide, on means of transport, everything starts with design, because it is very important that the hotels are picked up correctly. That means close to the event or easily, or that are well connected by public means of transport. But again, when going to the event or from the event, it is important to bear in mind that there are very sustainable alternatives, such as the use of public means of transportation, or even the use of going into the fare on foot. So yeah, those were the ideas which we would like to share with you. We have 3 initiatives put forward. We encourage your participation in the 3 of them. We would very much like to see you participate in the donation room, in the green working group, and in the green stand initiative. So yeah.
Thank you, Ike. Thanks, Ike. Very, very clear and concise. So I just want to invite everyone, this is your chance, we'll have another 10 minutes. So I would like to encourage you, if you want to have any burning questions about this issue or anything related, please, you can come off mute by pressing *6 and just pose your question. Okay. Anyone, any questions about maybe related to the feature that you're building, or the what your projects are, or anything that isn't clear from the things. I know a lot of these things might sound quite obvious, but I think, say, local sourcing staff locally, etc., makes quite a big difference, because our flights have a big environmental impact, and so flying out a whole crew from one place to another, that makes quite a difference, not only on the environment, also economically, obviously. Maybe you have some questions on that. Okay. Okay. Maybe I might just take a moment then to just reiterate one little message with regards to the material choice. Say, for example, a lot of people are using MDF. MDF is a widely used multi-density fiber boards, and these are. I didn't know until recently that they cannot actually be recycled. They go directly to landfill. So there are other alternatives. For example, there are a type of fiberboards. They're made out of larger chunks of wood. It's called OSB, and these can actually be recycled and are much more environmentally friendly material. And they've got the actual the properties of this material is very similar to MDF. Except it has less glues in it, and it has bigger chunks of wood, and it therefore can be chipped up and made into another material. So this is quite interesting, and we do have a lot of MDF in the show. Or when Ika said cardboard, there may be. I mean, it sounds that obviously is a material that has different properties, but in some instances it can be used. So yeah, I guess in the long run, it's a matter of maybe looking a little bit more in detail and asking those questions to your providers and say, so do you what kind of what thought has gone into your choice of materials for the environment? You don't need to be an expert, but you can just ask those questions and by that way encourage them to think about it. That's the first step, and to say and them understanding that is something that you would be interested in adopting a different way of choosing materials. So those kind of things, or the obvious plastic bags or lanyards or so. Maybe there are alternatives that are made from cotton or from natural materials that are basically more easier recyclable. But a plastic bag as such, made from plastic, is actually not recyclable. It can be made into. It normally gets chopped up and burnt up and therefore creates energy, but it also contaminates, and it's not actually recycled. It's not being made into another plastic bag.
Ivan?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you can hear me now. Sorry, I've been trying to sort of get off mute since you first asked the question.
Okay.
It's okay. Two questions, because I know we're running out of time here. Do the more sustainable materials, are they more expensive, or are they cheaper, or are they the same price? If you're talking about that MDF equivalent or alternative, I'm just thinking about, obviously it's better for the environment, but obviously we push our suppliers greatly for cost. So how do the prices compare?
Yeah. I would say that in general, yes, there is probably a slight premium to using environmentally friendly products. However, I think that the difference isn't probably going to be that important that it makes a big difference. There may be a little premium you pay, but I think if at least you can, present that internally and say, okay, well, we have the option to do this, and it's for the environment. If you think of it, I try and say it that way. The increase that you pay is something that in the long run, if we don't do that, if we don't adopt a practice of paying a little bit more for something that is better for the environment, we'll all be in trouble. So I think it's a general all over the world, and in every industry sector, it's something that we're going to have to adopt. We cannot only ever always look at the money impact. I mean, it has to be a balance, clearly. But as I say, I think if I just compare MDF with OSB, the increase is very little. Maybe a 10% more or so.
And that totally makes sense in terms of the overall good of the planet. So if, for example, we went through an RFP, and although the costs were marginally more expensive, we chose a supplier because their green credentials were better. Does anybody sort of go around and actually check when they are building the stand that they have used this OSB rather than the MDF? How do we know they're actually sort of fulfilling what they're meant to be doing? Or does that, because obviously they complete the survey, but that's just assuming that the person has, that they're being honest in terms of what they're writing. Or am I just being too cynical?
No, I mean, it's a good question. I would say it starts really from you, first of all, asking the question, what do you do? What do you have? What would you suggest as a contractor where we could do better? And once you understand this, it's also up to you as a project manager to maybe to maybe follow up. I mean, I guess there is an element of trust. I don't know if this isn't, if you've expressed that and they've spent the time to think about this. Sorry, there's a fire alarm here going off.
Attention, please.
You should be able to
is about to be tested.
trace that.
Take no action.
Okay. And one final question before we get kicked off. Differences across the globe. So obviously, I'm assuming, well, actually, I shouldn't assume. It's easier, I guess, to do things in Europe to be working with companies that are more sustainable. How have you guys found it for Asia in terms of trying to achieve greater sort of sustainable buildings, etc., and structures?
Yeah, I can try and answer that as much as I can. Maybe someone else from our team has any view on. I mean, clearly we have cultural differences, and we it's more challenging to talk about those concepts in Asia than it is in Europe or say in America. But again, I think we all have a duty to educate in this. I mean, if we we're doing this, for example, with the donation room. One second. We're trying to introduce the donation room in Asia, and it actually seems that there is this is going. There are options. There are people that are willing to take this on, and it's common sense. So ultimately, if you explain to people, they'll listen. But it's more of a challenge, obviously. But But we should try our best, and by asking the question over and over, after the 5th time, they start saying, okay, well, we'll have to look into this. So
Great.
I think we've probably run out of time. I might just I have to leave this room, so I'm just going to say.
Will the presentation be circulated, Ivan?
Yes, we have recorded the session. We'll send the session to all. The actual recording of it, so you can pass it over to anyone you need, and we'll send the slides, and then anything else we can also be in touch with people through email, etc. So yes, thank you all very much. I've actually unmuted everyone now, unless there's a burning question, because maybe someone couldn't get off mute, but I think I have to leave now.
Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you, and thank you, Ike, and then all the participants. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.